Hello, this is Dr. Stanley Lang. I have a question for you. What does the gut have to do with happiness, or the opposite of happiness, depression? So the topic we're going to talk about is gut health and depression. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about that today was because of an encounter that I had with a young lady who is recovering from depression and a couple of other mental difficulties. And one of the things that's been clear in my history last two times that I've seen her is that she, number one, does want to get well. Number two, has a really lousy diet. And so one of the issues that's going on for her is that she is has been eating in a way that is typical of the average American, which causes a very severe imbalance in what we call the biome, which is the community of bacteria that live in the GI tract. Now, we think that there's more than 2,000 species. Some people think as many as 2,500 species of bacteria that live in the GI tract, and that doesn't even count the funguses or the fungi and the and other microorganisms. So we're talking about a very complex community, and research is suggesting that all of these microorganisms play a role in helping us to regulate ourselves. Well, one of the things that they do is that they actually help to create communication to the brain that basically says to the brain, all is well. So when the GI tract is doing well, it communicates to the brain that all is well. Alternatively, when the GI tract is not doing well, which it's not whenever it's way out of sync because of the garbage foods we're giving it or the chemicals we're putting into it, anything that severely throws off the balance of the probiotic bacteria and other microorganisms in our GI tract, whenever that's thrown off, the message that the brain gets is that all is not well. And so what can result then from that is an amplification of anything else that's going on that's stress related in your life, whether from physical, emotional, or spiritual reasons. And that was the case with this young lady that I was speaking with today. She was very interested in understanding some simple things that she could do, and she didn't have a big budget. So I talked to her about the use of probiotic foods to help get her gut back into shape, and to the second step, avoiding the chemicals in the foods that have the most damage to the GI tract. In other words, avoiding the foods with those chemicals. So there were three main things that I talked about, because two of them she could easily make at home, and the third one is pretty inexpensive. The first one is organic apple cider vinegar, which is something that I consider foundational for any kind of a probiotic food-based program. The second thing that we talked about is kefir, which is fermented milk, and it's easy to make at home. You can make kefir in 15 minutes a day at home. And the third thing was homemade sauerkraut, which also is very easy to make at home, and it takes maybe a half hour of investment once a week to make your sauerkraut. And you can do it in small amounts, so it doesn't take a long time for the food for the sauerkraut to ferment. And we talked about how this is much more powerful than taking probiotic capsules. And so her first step in recovering her mental health naturally is to get her GI tract back in order. So she's going to stop eating the foods that are poisoning her GI tract, and she's going to start consuming these three items on a regular basis. And they're going to give her lots of good probiotic bacteria that within 3 to 4 weeks, she's going to feel a lot better. 100% of my patients that follow these simple strategies feel a lot better, because it just sort of wakes up the body's self-healing properties that are suppressed because our GI tracts are so much out of sync with the balance that they're supposed to have. So I do encourage you to look to natural sources of probiotics rather than probiotic capsules. You want something that is going to be integrated into the community of bacteria that lives in your gut in the first place, And that's what happens when you consume probiotic-based foods. So hope you found this helpful and encouraging. I wish you well. God bless and have a great day.